This is the Coach Maz Show, presented by Griffins baseball alum State Farm agent Alex Hetrick in Murraysville. Like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Alex Hetrick is there. Here's Dan Flickinger and the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins, Mark Marizaldi.
Welcome to Seton Hill University Griffins baseball here on the Westmoreland Sports Network as the Griffs get set to open a 4-game series against the IUP Crimson Hawks. I'm Dan Flickinger. Welcome to the Coach Maz Show, as always presented by our good pal, State Farm agent Alex Hetrick in Delmont. Get a free quote from Alex Hetrick in Delmont. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Seton Hill coming in with a 22-9 overall record, starting this PSAC 4-game series against IUP after a sweep of Pitt Johnstown, and then a non-conference victory against Fairmont State earlier this week. And Maz, as we always do, we'll reflect back on the previous game. Just your thoughts on the non-conference win against Fairmont. You guys scored 7 runs in the 4th inning, and never looked back from there.
It was a good win. Anytime you get a shutout, a 9-inning shutout, you got to be really happy with that. But it was odd. It was one of the more poorly pitched games we've had all year. I think we had 9 walks and somehow still threw a shutout. Once again, probably a reflection of our fantastic defense. I think we're fielding like 981 on the season, which is crazy. We had some timely hits, but we left a lot of guys on base. Midweek baseball, man, you just never know what's going to happen. It was good. We weren't super clean on the mound, but we were able to get some guys some good work. Jack Laird gave us a pretty competitive start. We were able to get Ian Korn back in there, his first appearance in almost 12 months since Tommy John, and that was just fantastic to see. Braden Durham had a massive hit in that day, something that I think hopefully kickstarts him back trending upward offensively. So some good and some bad. But right now, just stacking regional wins is a really valuable thing for us.
Yeah, you mentioned Ian Korn, one of certainly the big stories coming out of the game, his first time pitching since March 25th of last year. Obviously underwent Tommy John surgery, and he threw scoreless inning with 2 strikeouts. What did you kind of see from Ian, and where does he kind of go from here, Maz?
Well, the adrenaline was going. He was so excited to get back out there and pitch. And I think he was able to harness that excitement, maybe nerves and adrenaline pretty well. The velocity was fantastic, especially as his pitch count isn't built up yet. But that's our goal. Our goal is to continue to get him in there once a week, hopefully for some extended innings. Maybe build him up to 2-3 innings and work him back up to starter status. I'm not saying he's going to go into the rotation or anything, but as you get into the postseason and hopefully for us tournament play, you're going to need some guys that can give you some length, more than just your 4 starters. And hopefully that's where Ian starts to position himself in the second half of the season.
You mentioned Jack Laird started the game. I want to ask you about him because he's someone that's been here for 5 years and hasn't pitched a ton, Maz, but I would imagine having his experience in the bullpen is something that is valuable to you, a guy that can start a game if you need him to, and you can get some length out of Jack if you need him to. He's, again, hasn't thrown a ton, but he certainly has experience, being there for 5 years and pitching as he has.
Yeah, you're right. For being around so long, we've never really been able to put Jack into like a well-defined, consistent role. And part of that is because he's been on our team the same time as these 4 starters, the Bergerts and the Laytons and McCulloughs that have pretty much been in the rotation since their freshman year. But I would describe Jack Laird as reliable. We've used him in short relief and long relief. We've used him as a midweek starter, a late inning reliever. He's just kind of been there, like taking on any role or opportunity we've thrown at him. And I kind of see that continuing. Again, being a reliable senior, he's kind of been there in a lot of different circumstances. So I think he'll continue to serve us as a midweek starter or maybe a weekend reliever.
Well, we have to talk about the incredible run right now that Eli Snyder is on. He went 6 for 10 against Pitt Johnstown, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, got him the PSAC West Athlete of the Week and the NCBWA Atlantic Region Hitter of the Week as well. And then he followed that up. He walked 3 times against Fairmont. And to me, it seems like he is being a lot more patient at the plate, Maz, maybe not swinging it at bad pitches and that type of thing. Again, I think I asked you even about this last week, but now that he's won, Player of the Week, Athlete of the Week, talk a little about Eli and what he's doing so well at the plate right now.
Well, somebody in his position that maybe he's been battling for time most of the season and maybe got beat out and didn't get off to a great start. That's what's so impressive about the mature at bats he's having, right? Like when you're on the bench for so long and all of a sudden you get an opportunity, most guys, all they want to do is hit, right? I got to get hits if I want to stay in the lineup. And he is certainly getting his hits and he's driving in runs, but he's taking his walks too. So he's really not trying to do too much, which, again, for a guy that's a senior that, is battling for some playing time, it'd be natural for him to kind of go out and try and swing his way into the lineup. But he's making fantastic decisions at the plate. Like you mentioned, he's not chasing. And Eli's a sneaky good base runner too. And you look at him like first baseman, big, strong guy, can hit the ball out of the park. But man, he makes some really good decisions at the plate and on the bases. And right now, I don't look at him and say, oh, he's really hitting. I look at him and say, he's really contributing to our offense in a lot of ways.
Maz, this is something that, we could probably do a whole segment on, but I wanted, if we did have an opportunity to kind of discuss this and maybe you kind of explain how this works to old school baseball people. And what I'm talking about is your pitch comm, or I guess it's called go route, that you're using this year for the first time, which basically you can signal in pitches from the dugout to wristbands that, you can explain it, but the catcher, the pitcher, the center fielder, and shortstop all wear, and everybody knows where the pitch is and what pitch it is, of course. But can you kind of talk about what went into deciding to utilize that this year and just how everything's been going with it?
Well, I'll tell you what went into it is the last games that we played in 2023, we got absolutely slaughtered by Millersville. And we're like, these guys must know exactly what pitch is coming. I mean, they sure as heck, they banged us around the park like they knew what we were throwing. And we're like, no, but it's just the direction the game's gone now. For about a decade, I just used to sit in the dugout doing the old, signs. But now with like games being recorded, you can pick up signs now so easily. It was an expensive investment for us, but it's made everything so much smoother and simpler. You really can't have any cross ups between the pitcher and the catcher because it's right there on the watch. So we've got center field, shortstop, pitcher, and catcher. Coach Martin's got an iPad right in front of him. He punches in the pitch and it shows up on the watch and away we go. It's pretty much that simple. So it's cleaned a lot of stuff up for us. And I think it's with the new rule of the 20-second pitch clock, it's allowed us to be much more efficient and never even come close to that violation of 20 seconds.
Yeah, because if you didn't have them with a runner on second, there's a lot of signs that obviously you have to flash through. The catcher has to flash through, and maybe sometimes the pitcher doesn't see it correctly. And it's a step off, and then that's a disengage. So you kind of eliminate all that, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's helped us kind of get acclimated to the new rules and play at a little bit faster pace.
Did you think when you started the program, no field on campus and all of that, that we'd get to this point where we're signaling in pitches electronically?
Well, I mean, you just got to kind of roll along with the times, right?
Right, buddy.
No, I didn't foresee the game evolving into this, but man, it's a data-driven technology game now, and you got to kind of adapt or die, right? And we're choosing to adapt. Fortunately, I have some good young assistant coaches that they tell me what all this stuff is all about, so I'm kind of learning from them.
You don't stand behind the iPad and hit a button like when Clay is trying to call pitches or anything?
No, usually I'll just yell out like, throw a damn fastball. Let's go.
Maz, let's preview today's doubleheader with IUP. 4 games at home, actually. Tomorrow we'll be playing here at Seton Hill as well. But IUP comes in with a 16-9 record, 7-5 in the PSAC West. And really, we've seen a lot of improvement from the program the last couple of years. They make it to the PSAC tournament last year, beat Millersville in the first game. What do you kind of see from them this season?
They're tough. And I don't mean that like in a cliche way, but like they play with a lot of fire. They're not afraid to play from behind. I've seen some guys, they just come right out of the gate and clobber some people. That happened to us a couple of years ago. I think they scored, like 7 runs off of Vapo in the first inning. So they're a dangerous team. When you look at them top to bottom, they don't do anything extraordinarily well. Like they're in the middle of the pack and they're in the middle of the conference in pitching, hitting, and defense, right? So you look at, they're kind of like mediocre in everything, but they're 16-9. So that tells you that they find different ways to win. They have some big victories over some good teams. And they do have some veterans too. Offensively, Pontoli's been leading them for the last couple of seasons. They've got a 5th-year starter on the mound in Edinburgh. And they've been able, with Coach Klein coming in a couple years ago, they've been able to add some really big pieces of the supporting cast, both on offense and on the mound. So, they're a dangerous team. They can beat you in a lot of different ways, and I think we know what we're getting into, and we're pretty prepared for them.
Maz, thank you so much for your time, as always. Enjoy a windy day on the hill today, and go get a couple of wins, all right?
Sounds great. Thanks, Dan. Good having you guys here.
Absolutely, as always. That is Coach Mark Marizaldi of the Seton Hill Griffins. Our Coach Maz show can be seen 20 minutes prior to first pitch during every Griffins broadcast, and it's presented by State Farm agent Alex Hetrick in Delmont. We'll have first pitch for you coming up just around the corner.